my rear view. So I'm seeing nothing but my dreams coming true while I'm staring at the world through my rear view. They got me staring at the world through my rear view. Going baby, scream to God, he can't hear you. I can feel your heart beating fast, guess it's time to die. Getting high, watching time fly.
Hi there and welcome. This is Rearview TV channel, where we talk about all sorts of things that we feel you should most definitely know in the life of today's world. This information will leave you questioning whether what you were taught in school is a fact, or fiction, or perhaps a lie overall. All of us have grown up to trust and believe what we have been educated within the Western's education system for many years. However, on our channel we find the missing parts of our history that matters, history that is not being taught in the Western classrooms. Anyway, please note that our channel is just for information purposes only and we would suggest you to do your own research. Please don't be a stranger, join our community. Like, share, and comment if you wish, but most of all subscribe to stay updated. Go ahead and click that notification bell. We start this video off with talking about the Black, African descent kings, queens and emperors. There are many important people in the African history that are not being taught by teachers in our education institutes or being spoke of as much as they should be. These kings, queens and emperors don't receive as much credit and acknowledgement as they should, so here we start off with an important black king from the Songhai Empire. 1. King Sunni Ali Bar. King Sunni was the first king of the Songhai Empire, and 15th ruler of the Sunni dynasty. Sunni Ali ruled over both urban Muslims and rural non-Muslims, of a time when the traditional coexistence of different beliefs was being challenged. We don't know exactly how he died as there are two different accounts of his death. Firstly, they say he drained while crossing the Niger River, in late 1492. Or that Sunni Ali may have been killed by his sister's son, called Askia Muhammad Tur. Sunni Ali was succeeded by his son called Sunni Baru, who was challenged by Askia because Sunni Baru was not seen as a faithful Muslim, thus Askia successfully succeeded the throne. 2. Askia the Great, known as Askia Muhammad I, was born named Muhammad Tur in Futatoro. Askia was an emperor, military commander and political reformer of the Songhai Empire in late 15th century. Askia was from the Soninke ethnic group. Askia strengthened his empire and made it the largest empire in West Africa's history. The Songhai Empire encompassed the Hausa states as far as Kano, in North Nigeria. Much of the territory belonged to the Songhai Empire in the west. His policies resulted in rapid expansion of trade with Europe and Asia, creation of many schools and establishments of Islam as an integral part of the empire. He died in 1568, and was buried in Jao, today's Mali, under a pyramid of earth scaled by wooden spikes. His tomb is still standing, and is one of the most respected mosques in West Africa today. 3. Idris Alomar was one of the greatest monarchs of Central Africa, state of the Common-Bornu dynasty. He was king or the Common-Bornu Empire, which is today's known Chad and Nigeria. Idris Alomar is remembered for his military skills, administrative reform and Islamic piety. Idris Alomar's adversaries were the Hausa to the west, the Tuareg and Tobu to the north, and the Biala to the east. There was a poem that extols his victories, from 330 wars and more than 1,000 battles. Idris Alomar ruled from 1564 to 1596 according to the Dawh. He died in the Baygurmi campaign, where he was mortally wounded, and later buried in Lake Alu, south of today's Nigeria. 4. Bihanzin Bawel was born in 1844 in Abomey. He was the 11th king of the Dahomey Empire, from 1889 to 1894. Dahomey was a powerful kingdom of West Africa, deriving its power from trade and a superior army. In this time, Bihanzin masterfully led an army of 15,000 men, and 5,000 Amazonian women. Then in 1890, the French occupied Cotonou. Bihanzin, who was king, prepared for war, attacked the French simultaneously off Porto Novo. France was determined to annex Dahomey before the British and Germans. Bihanzin continued upgrading his army, in preparation for war again. In 1868, Behanzin was defeated by Alfred Damite Dodds, a Senegalese mulatto, a black man. Alfred was sent to fight against Behanzin by the French forces. Behanzin did not want his people murdered, so he surrendered. Dahomey was then placed under France's protection, and eventually became a French colony without France signing any treaty or instrument of national surrender. Behanzin died in 1906, while in exile in Algeria. 5. Menelik II was Emperor of Ethiopia, from 1898 to his death is 1913. At height of Menelik's power and prestige, the process of expansion on his territories and the modern empire state was completed by 1898. Menelik is known for leading Ethiopian forces against the Italian kingdom in the First Italo-Ethiopian War, where Menelik scored a victory of the Battle of Adwa. Menelik's victory earned him great fame. Following the battle, Ethiopia's independence by external power was expressed in terms of diplomatic representation of his court and delineation of Ethiopia's boundaries with the adjacent colonies. Menelik, a bibliophile, could speak Amharic, Oromo, Afar, Tigrinya, French, English, and Italian. Menelik expanded his kingdoms to south and east, in Kafka, Satama, Ethiopia, and Walata. 6. Mansa Musa I, during the 17th year of his reign, in 1324, set out on a pilgrimage to Mecca. Pilgrimage awakened the world to the stupendous wealth of Mali. Cairo and Mecca received Mansa's royal personage. During Mansa's travels, he had with him an impressive caravan of 60,000 men, including a personal retinue of 12,000 slaves, all cladded in brocade and Persian silk. Mansa Musa, the emperor, would ride on a horse directly preceded by 500 slaves, all carrying gold-adorned stuff. He had a baggage train of 80 camels, each carrying 300 pounds of gold. Cairo was supposed to have a population of more than 1 million, singing the praises of Mansa Musa. Mansa Musa, lavishly in his spendings, flooded the Cairo market with gold, which caused a decline in the gold value, that the market, 12 years later, had not fully recovered. 7. African Roman Emperor, Septimius Severus, also called Lucius Septimius Severus, was named ruler of the Roman Empire, and in doing so, became Rome's first African emperor. After emerging victorious from a period of civil war, Severus expanded the border of the empire to new heights, ushered in a period of imperial transformation and founded a dynasty. Born in 145 AD, in the prominent Roman Libyan city of Leptis Magna in Africa, Severus came from a wealthy and prominent local family. In 162 AD, Severus went to Rome and was granted entry into the senatorial ranks, after his cousin Gaius Septimius Severus had recommended him to Emperor Marcus Aurelius. Septimius Severus had also been popular amongst the Roman people, having brought stability after the vices and corruption of Commodus's reign. He also left behind an empire spanning some 5 million square kilometers, the largest it had ever been. His two sons, Caracalla and Geta, jointly inherited the throne and sued for peace with the Caledonians, a short while later, and the Roman frontier was brought back to behind Hadrian's wall. Rome would never campaign so far into Caledonia again. 8. President Patrice Emery Lumumba of Congo was the first Prime Minister of the Republic of Congo, now called Democratic Republic of Congo. He was born in 1925, and is from Honolulu village in northeastern Kasai, in Congo. Lumumba's tribe was the Baitatala, Tala, which is a dynamic branch of the Mongo-Kyushu family of central Congo. The Congo was a colony of Belgium, and as such, Lumumba attended both Protestant and Catholic schools, run by white Belgian missionaries. Lumumba was intelligent and used to ask too many problematic questions. Lumumba was ambitious and aimed for social mobility, predominantly to form part of the Evalu, the upper strata of the middle class, the highest level indigenous Congolese could attain in the Belgian colony. Lumumba was appointed as sales director for a brewer company in Leopoldville, currently known as Kinshasa, in 1957. Lumumba joined the Belgian Liberal political party. When he relocated to Leopoldville to work at the brewery, he helped to found the movement, National Congolese Political Party. Lumumba's good personality and public speaking skills won him many admirers, making him a focal point within the party. While in prison in 1955, Lumumba reconsidered his status as an Evalu, and made a major shift towards Pan-Africanism and Congolese nationalism. The notion of nationalism enabled different ethnic groups that made up the Congolese society to come together and fight against colonial economic exploitation, political repression and cultural oppression. The Belgian-led government, in 1959, announced that Congolese local elections should take place within 5 years to full Congolese independence. Lumumba was an effective speaker in each of the Congo's major vehicular languages, as well as in French when compared to other Congolese leaders, and this helped his campaigning. After the May 1960 general elections, Congo achieved independence on 30th of June 1960, with Lumumba as the leader of the largest single party. He was selected to become Congo's first prime minister, and his political rival, Joseph Kasavubu, became president of the Congo. As the prime minister, Lumumba faced sudden emergencies. The Congolese elite feared Lumumba's notion of nationalism and participatory democracy, and thus they started revolting against him. The revolt of the army, and the secession of the provinces of Katanga and southern Kasai were further emergencies. Lumumba sent Congolese troops to southern Kasai province, in attempt to restore the situation, but the poorly trained soldiers killed thousands of Congolese civilians. The United Nations, through Secretary General Hammarskjöld Jold, blamed Lumumba for the massacre of civilians. Lumumba disliked Belgium and the United Nations for not helping to restore order and unity in Congo. It is believed that some Congolese elite conspired with foreign states, specifically the CIA and the United States administration, to get rid of Lumumba. When Lumumba asked for military help from the Soviet Union against the secessionist provinces of southern Kasai and Katanga, President Kasavubu dismissed him from office on 5 September 1960. This was the beginning of the end of the political life of Patrice Lumumba. The Congolese National Assembly disagreed with the decision of the president and ordered Lumumba back in power as prime minister. This did not happen, since a faction of the Congolese army under Colonel Mobutu took over the government instead, and put Lumumba under house arrest, under the protection of Ghanaian troops of the United Nations force. Lumumba managed to get out of the house arrest in Kinshasa and attempted to leave for Stanleyville, but he was arrested by an army patrol and held prisoner in a military camp at Thiensville. From the military camp, Lumumba was transferred to Elizabethville, Katanga on January 18, 1961. Despite the presence of United Nations troops, he was picked up by a small group led by Katanga's Interior Minister, Godefroid Minongo. Lumumba was taken to a nearby house where he was assassinated. Lumumba's assassination made him a symbol of struggle for champions of African nations, in attempts to bond and set themselves free from the influence of the European colonizers. 9. Akhenaten was pharaoh of the 18th century dynasty, of the New Kingdom of Egypt. He was born in 1336, and died around 1372. His wife was Nefertiti. Akhenaten ruled from 1353 to 1336. He was born. He is best known for effecting changes to the Egyptian religion. As a pharaoh, Akhenaten is noted for abandoning Egypt's traditional polytheism and introducing atheism, or worship centered around Aten, chief of which was the worship of the sun god, as a singular higher power. Akhenaten is known for his son with his wife Nefertiti, called Tutankhamun. Before the 5th year of his reign, he was known as Amenhotep VI. Traditional religious practice was gradually restored, notably under his close successor, his son Tutankhamun, who changed his name from Tutankhaten early in his reign. 10. Menelik I, Emperor of Ethiopia, and a man who has an important alliance in the ancient biblical history, was instrumental in reuniting a better part of Africa into nations, and he did this with his power as emperor of the then most powerful African nations. Menelik I was inaugurated as Emperor of Ethiopia during the Solomonic dynasty of Ethiopia. Menelik was referred to as son of the wise. Menelik's mother, Queen Sheba, also called Makeda, after realizing she was pregnant, raised Menelik, Her son, as an Israelite in Ethiopia, which is the Black Jews, she raised him with the knowledge of the Judaism heritage. Menelik I was made king by his father, called King Solomon, thus founding the royal Solomonic dynasty of Ethiopia, which ruled until the deposition of Haile Selassie I in 1974. The Queen Makeda, also Sheba, made the northern city of Axum home after returning from her trade journey to Israel. According to Ethiopian tradition, Menelik I, and the Ark of the Covenant was brought with Queen Makeda. Many believe Haile Selassie I, born named Tafari Makunin, is to be of direct blood lineage from Menelik I, who began the East African king's long rule in the region, starting around 950 BCE. Tradition credits him with bringing the Ark of the Covenant to Ethiopia, following a visit to Jerusalem to meet his father Solomon upon reaching adulthood. He founded the Solomonic dynasty of Ethiopia, that ruled Ethiopia with few interruptions for close to 3,000 years, and 225 generations later, ended with the fall of Emperor Haile Selassie in 1974. However, the medieval incarnation of the Solomonic dynasty didn't come into power until around 1270, claiming descent from the kings of Axum, while their predecessors, the Zag dynasty, Agro-medieval dynasty, were said to not be of the house of Israel, meaning of Solomon and Menelik. 11. Obe-Ajudawa Olafin of Ife and the divine king of Yoruba, was a Yoruba divine king. According to tradition, he was the holder of the title of the Olafin of Ife, the Yoruba holy city. He ruled briefly in Ife, and also served as the progenitor of a number of independent royal dynasties in Yorubaland. His name is today venerated as that of the hero, the warrior, the leader and father of the Yoruba race. Through conflict and mostly through diplomacy lasting many years, Ajudawa was able temporarily to usurp the throne of Ife to become king. Ajudawa held the praise name Olafinadimola. Following his posthumous deification, Ajudawa was admitted to the Yoruba pantheon as an aspect of a primordial divinity of the same name. Ajudawa was an emissary from the community of Okora, the easternmost part of the Ife cultural area, which stretches towards the northeastern Ijaza people. He is said to have been a warrior that wore armor made of iron. At that time, a confederacy existed between the 13 communities of the Valley of Ife, with each community Oralu having its own Oba. The Oba of Ijugbi, the Oba of Elio, and the Oba of Iwinran. His reign was largely restricted to Idio. However, Ife tradition states that he was never known as Anomini, and neither did he use the Ife traditional crown. History has it that Ajudawa had a son, Okanwi, who afterwards had 6 children that became the grandchildren of Ajudawa. Ajudawa was a Yoruba divine king, who was the holder of the title of the Olafin of Ife, the Yoruba holy city. He ruled briefly in Ife, and also served as the progenitor of a number of independent royal dynasties in Yorubaland. He is the chief god of the Yoruba community. He created it. As a result, he symbolizes the earth on which his people live. However, there has also been research that Ajudawa changed his name. In the 12th century, a great palace intrigue erupted and Crown Prince Ikaladan of Bini, the only son of the last Ojizo, was sentenced to death as a result of the first queen, who was barren, deliberately changing an oracle message to the Ojizo. In carrying out the order of the palace messengers had mercy and set the prince free at Aten, near Benin. When his father, the Ojizo died, the Ojizo dynasty ended. The people and royal kingmakers preferred their king's son as natural next in line to rule. The exiled Prince Ikaladan had changed his name to Ajodawa, meaning I have chosen the part of prosperity, and found his way to Ife. It was during this period of confusion the elders led by Alia, mounted a search for the banished Prince Ikaladan, whom the Ife people now called Ajudawa. Ajudawa, who could not return due to age, granted them Oranmaian, his son, to rule over them. Oranmaian was resisted by Ajiamian Ariber, one of the palace chiefs, and took up his abode in the palace built for him at Uzama, by the elders, now a coronation shrine. Soon after his arrival, he married a beautiful lady, Erinwind, daughter of Ogir Igor, the 9th Emigian, Duke of Igor, by whom he had a son. Queens. 1. Amina, Queen of Zaria, in Nigeria, was first to rule over Nigeria. She was born in 1533, in Zazzau. She was a fierce warrior, who led her people in engagements for over a decade. As queen, she expanded her kingdom through constant warfare. Her reign was 34 years long, and died around 1610. 2. Candace, the Empress of Ethiopia, referred to Candace by the white Europeans, ruled the city of Meroe. The Candace of Meroe ruled from 284 BCE to 314 CE. The Candace were fiercely independent, ruling powerful military kingdoms as warriors themselves. Candace of Meroe marched her army to a field, and stood herself on top of 2 elephants, daring the Macedonian to attempt to conquer her lands. This was in a time of dispute between Alexander the Great and the Candaces. Alexander turned around and left, rather than face a well-armed and armored, strong army force of women. 3. Makeda, Queen of Sheba of Ethiopia, was part of a dynasty founded in 1370 BCE that ruled parts of Yemen and Ethiopia. She ruled for around 50 years. She was powerful and a rich queen. She has a legendary union with King Solomon. This union purported to have sprung the first of the line of Solomonic kings, led by Makeda's son, Menelik I, who ruled over Ethiopia and Abyssinia until 1974. 4. Nefertiti, Queen of Kemet, was Queen of Egypt, and the wife of Akhenaten, who ruled from 1353 BCE to 1336. In this time, worship of Aten, the sun god, was spread by her husband Akhenaten. Nefertiti may have played an important part of this cult, being seen as a fertility goddess, associated with the triads of the sun god Aten. Akhenaten, Nefertiti's husband, was pharaoh. Nefertiti abruptly disappeared around Akhenaten's 12th year in power, along with some of her daughters. It's likely Nefertiti's body has not been identified in the years since. Nefertiti disappeared until 1912, when a part of her head was discovered by German archaeologists. 5. Yasenhua was born between 1840 and 1860. She was an influential queen of the Ashanti people. She was promoted to queen by her brother, Nana Akwasi of Frantic Peas, in the 1800s. She would go on to fuel a movement of equality and resistance against the British. She led Anglo-Ashanti's Wars, which began in 1900, to oppose colonization and destruction of her people's culture. When her kingdom hesitated to fight, she galvanized them by stating, "If the men would not defend my county, the women will." Yasenhua died in 1912, after being exiled to the Seychelles, following a failed rebellion against the British. We hope you enjoyed this video. We love Black history. Please remember to like, share and subscribe to our channel.